Our budget restores LIHEAP to a level that's $3 billion above the President's budget. And for funding development of alternative fuels, renewable energies, and other energy initiatives, our budget provides $7.7 billion. As I mentioned, this conference agreement extends tax cuts to help middle-income families caught in the current slump. For example, we protect 20 million middle-income households from being hit by the alternative minimum tax, 20 million Americans for whom it was never intended. We accommodate the extension of the middle-income tax cuts, the child tax credit, the marriage penalty relief, and the 10% individual bracket. Our colleagues on the other side will claim, however, that this budget raises taxes. Let me say emphatically, this budget does not raise taxes, but don't take my word for it. Here's what outside experts say. The Committee for a Responsible Budget, the conference agreement, I'm quoting, the conference agreement does not raise taxes. The Hamilton Project of the Brookings Institution, quote, the budget would not raise taxes. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, quote, this year's budget does not include a tax increase. There's one other criticism our colleagues across the aisle may make but cannot sustain is this conference agreement. In terms of national security, we provide the same dollars as the President's base budget requested, except that we call for better stewardship and better priorities, such as nonproliferation, supporting nonproliferation of nuclear weapons and materials, maybe the most menacing threat facing us. If anything, our conference agreement protects the homeland and internal security more than the President's budget because we reverse his cuts in local law enforcement, in firefighters, in the Coast Guard, and in first responders. Most important of all, we do everything that I have cited within the context of a balanced budget. When President Bush took office in 2001, the budget was in surplus by $236 billion. His economists looked out over 10 years and saw nothing but surpluses, $5.6 trillion in all. President Bush told the country we could have it all, guns, butters, and tax cuts too, and never mind the deficits. Now, almost 8 years later, we see the disastrous consequences. Under the fiscal policies of this administration, the Bush administration, our national debt has mushroomed, increased from $5.7 trillion in 2001 to $10 trillion in 2009. Since the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House during much of this time, they cannot escape responsibility for these dismal fiscal results. But faced with these grim facts, what does the President's budget propose for 2009? More of the same. He's still in effect saying that we can have the guns and the butter and the tax cut too, and that deficits don't really matter because foreign investors will keep buying our Treasury bond. In contrast, the budget before us is a step in the right direction. It may not be the grand or final solution, but this budget moves us in the right direction, enforcing fiscal responsibility, though not to the exclusion of other values that we hold dear. I urge support for this conference agreement by all members of the House, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from South Carolina reserves the balance of his time.